What's up, guys? Welcome back. So this week we're going to talk about weekly analysis for the week starting October 9th through 13th 2023. So last week we made our analysis and I told you guys that we're expecting price to gravitate towards this pink shaded area, probably take out this buy side, but trading into this fair value gap. We saw that happen right here. But then after that, we saw some rejection on Friday because it was NFP week. This is actually permissible, 13 weeks and just one sell or bearish candle. So what are we expecting this coming week? We want to go down to our daily time frame for the dollar index. Now for the daily time frame, this is the same pink shaded area that we saw on our weekly time frame. And before then we created a fair value gap, and now we've traded outside the fair value gap. Now for this week we do not want to concentrate on our weekly time frame. We want to trade intraday until we have some information until next week. But for now, I'll see how price opens on Sunday night. If we should trade back into this area, I want to see this to act as an inversion fair value gap that will take price to the downside. That is if we should trade back up first. But if we resume on Sunday and we start seeing lower prices, then I would love to see price to trade into this fair value gap that was created sometime last 2 weeks. I'll quickly extend this to the right. So I would love to see this upward price, but if we don't, ultimately we have a bearish breaker on our weekly time frame. I want to go back to the weekly time frame so that I will see this. These are bearish breaker. Yeah, this candle is our bearish breaker. So if we want to expect lower prices, we want to see this area support the dollar index before moving to the upside. Now, are we saying we are done being bullish on dollar? No, we'll still be expecting higher prices, but for now we might maybe see some lower prices this coming few days. So we'll go back to the daily time frame for the dollar index. So if we should go lower, we do not want to see price go below this area. That's permissible. As far as we don't go below this area, we'll still be expecting higher prices. But until then, we'll have some other videos where we'll talk more about this. Let's talk about euro dollar. Euro dollar weekly time frame. So last week we had this candle as our weekly candle last week, and I told you guys that we have not taken out this sell side properly and that we might expect lower prices, which we did here. Then on Friday, because of NFP, we had some rejection back to the upside. Permissible because we had some 13 weeks on lower prices without retracement. This is totally fine. So coming weeks, I would love to see this support price. Like we said, we have a bullish breaker on dollar index, but this want to see this as a bearish breaker. I'll quickly color this for the weekly time frame. I love using orange, so we'll call this bearish breaker for our weekly time frame. Yes. Now, what is a bearish breaker? We might talk more about that. I'll do a video. But when we see price take out a high, look at this high. We've taken out this high, and then we've taken out this becomes a low. We took out this low. Yes. The last up candle before the higher move, we tend to express this as a bearish breaker, which means price might come back up, and this might act as real resistance before expecting lower prices. So what are we saying? I don't want to see price go above or close above this bearish breaker, and if that happens, if we do not see higher prices above this bearish breaker, then we'll still be expecting lower prices, and ultimately here is my target, this fair value gap on our weekly time frame. So for our daily time frame, euro dollar daily time frame. So like I said, on the dollar index, we had a fair value gap here on our daily time frame. Ideally, we're supposed to come back up, see price respect this fair value gap, not closing above it before coming back down, continuing to the downside. But since we've closed above this, we might, not with all certainty, but we might see higher prices that will ultimately, this is permissible. It's permissible to get here to this bearish breaker on our weekly time frame, but we do want to see price close above this area. So for our daily time frame on euro, I'll be looking for higher prices for the daily time frame, but ultimately we'll still be expecting lower prices on our weekly time frame in the next coming weeks. I will quickly go to pound dollar weekly time frame. Now for the past week, I said we've not hit this order block while we had price here, and this last week we saw price hitting this weekly order block perfectly and then rejecting to the upside on Friday because of non-farm payroll. And then we have a fair value gap on our weekly time frame. A fair value gap, for those who are watching this for the first time, is when we have 3 candles on a discount or premium area in our chart. If you look clearly, look at these candles from this price point to this point. Yeah, this candle, the low of this candle overlaps with the high of this candle. The high of this candle overlaps with the low of this, the high of this candle. The low of this overlaps with the high of this. Yeah, so what I'm saying is that from this point to this point, we have sufficient price action. There is nothing like a fair value gap, but here we have a fair value gap on our weekly time frame. So this week when I see price, I would love to see price trade into this fair value gap for fair valuation, because we do not see any form of balanced price range in this area. So we'd love to see price go inside this fair value gap for price to be fair before expecting lower prices maybe in the next few coming weeks. For the daily time frame, pound dollar. So here's our daily time frame. Here's the other block, bullish order block that was mentioned on the weekly time frame, which is this point. And I mentioned that we might see price trade into the daily fair value gap, which we have here. We did that actually before moving to the upside. And also in our daily time frame, we also have a little fair value gap here. So it's permissible to see price trade into this fair value gap, maybe a bit higher. And that's what I want to see for pound dollar this week. And finally, for USDCAD, the Canadian dollar, weekly time frame. So last week we had our price action here for last week, and I said since we've traded into this fair value gap on our weekly time frame, we do not want to see price come lower. I said I was expecting higher prices to take out this buy side and probably this buy side. We have taken out this buy side, but we've not taken out this buy side. So we have a fair value gap here. Yes, we have a fair value gap here on daily and weekly time frame. So it's okay to see price come back into this area. Let's go to our daily time frame to see this clearly. So here's a fair value gap on our daily time frame. Here is an inversion fair value gap. An inversion fair value gap is when we see price coming back into a fair value gap, closing above it. Once we close above it, when we come back into it, we want to see this area respect price to act as real support, and that's what we saw here before moving out of that range to the upside. So here is an inversion fair value gap, and we saw price respecting that. But inside the inversion fair value gap, we have another fair value gap in our daily time frame. So if we want to see lower prices, I'd love to see this fair value gap or this inversion fair value gap respect price before moving back to the upside. Yes, we have another fair value gap here to be filled, but ultimately we have this one. So what are we saying? On the Canadian dollar, we want to see this fair value gap, or this inversion fair value gap, respect price before moving back to the upside. So now that we have our analysis done, what are you going to do with this information? On these other weeks, previous weeks before now, I'll tell you what to do with the news going one direction according to our weekly analysis. But now this is more trading intraday on our daily analysis. For the dollar index, we'll be expecting lower prices, but we won't want to go below this range, before going back up. I'm still bullish on dollar because we're not picking tops and bottom. We're not picking tops, so I'm still bullish on dollar. But it is okay intraday on our daily time frame to be expecting lower prices, but we do not want to go below this point, which is the bearish breaker for the dollar index. And whatever we are seeing on the dollar index, every other price that has USD as the quote currency, we want to see the opposite happen in those currency. I hope you find this really insightful and helpful. If you do, I'd love you to subscribe, like, and share this video. And until I talk to you next time, I wish you good luck and be safe.